I like that a lot.
Another Sunday, another case of the Scaries to start work week. Welcome to the newest edition of the Sunday Scaries. We have all your gore, lore, and more, covering all the latest horror happenings, slicing open all the latest horror news, and dissecting it bit by bit, finding all those juicy innards. Pour yourself a nightcap and turn your fright lights while we take you on a tour of terror.
Hello. Hello.
Train's back. I'm so excited.
What's up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome. It's another lovely Sunday.
Lovely Sunday.
Fox
Scary
Forum.
Sunday. Saw Crawl over the weekend. It was pretty decent, man. I saw some homage to Jaws there. I mean, why wouldn't you, right? But yeah, Crawl. Yeah, dude, no, with like the camera going through the water leading up to the victim, and then like the part where they're on the boat and like the crocodiles like crawling up on it. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't, because the Crawl takes place with
Alligator.
It's in Florida. So yeah, no, I'm kidding.
Well,
Yeah, I get
I'm
what
Russian,
you're
so
saying.
all scaly friends all over the globe are automatically crocodiles in my eyes.
There you
But
go.
no, yeah, it was a good movie. I would give it a 6.5 out of 10. I feel like it's a good one watch, good one shot adventure. I
Hey.
like that a lot of it took place in a basement. That was creative.
As far as creature features go, that's up there in my book. I like that one a lot. It's an honest to God attempt at making a very fun, pretty intense alligator film. Now you got me saying it. So there it is. There it is.
You're
what's
Russian
up,
now, too.
everybody? What's up?
Hello.
We have Penelope hopping in here. Yeah, sorry to hear about that, Rob. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit better.
Dude, Rob, no.
Whoop whoop. What's going on, Smiley? How you doing? Violets, welcome. Kim, thanks for being here. Gracie and Penelope. Yep, I think I got everybody that I can see right now, at least, and I'm sure more will trickle in as we go. But yes. Oh, we got Rob K here as well.
Rob K, what's up?
Yeah, I gotta say, as far as if we're gonna talk creature features, we watched a couple. Well, I watched a couple of those this week. Luke, did you end up watching Hungry?
No, not yet. It's
Okay.
still on my list. I was working on a video, so I haven't had the free time yet, but I will check that box this week. I know we talked about it. Was it last week or the week before? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was literally last week we talked about it as a news story, and because I remember I that's when I emailed them about it. So we did get to see Hungry, the hippo movie we talked about last week. So that was at least I got to watch it. Luke still has to watch it. I'm excited to discuss that one. There's a lot to talk about there. I gotta say, I'm not gonna give too much away, but I would say keep an eye on it. It's interesting.
It looked good when we talked about it last week. I have very high expectations. So if it is not a must-see, Dylan, I'm going to come over to your house and punch you.
Okay, well, that's fine. There will be punches because it's not a must-see, but it's fun. But Jack the Donkey, that's another one.
What?
Hokum this weekend. Who the hell knew that video was going to take off? Thank you guys so much for that.
Much appreciated.
That was
I'm so
quite a
jealous. I still
surprise.
got to see Hokum.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I enjoyed myself a lot with that one. This week, man, was just crazy. I mean, we haven't had like a week like this where we see two of our most anticipated horror films in a year in like 1 week. It's off, like, just insane.
And it's funny because we always have anticipated films and at least one of them disappoints. Now, we might have that later on in the year, but at least for this week, it didn't. It's like both of them back to back were pretty big winners. One must see and one a really strong recommend. So both very different, but they both kind of just hit that horror spot that you're looking for with the story and the tone that they set. So it was a pretty big win this week.
Yeah, I mean, it was good to get to the movies. I mean, we watched a lot of stuff because not only that, we watched Deep Water as well, which our review will be live for that tomorrow. So that's, speaking of alligators, that's a shark movie. So we'll have lots to say there. But yeah, I mean, it was just really as a first week back to this after our little sabbatical there, that was crazy. I mean, Adrian even got a stream in on Wednesday after coming back to Tennessee. So it's like we were firing on all cylinders. I mean, You guys really blew it up. And for those of you who aren't a part of the Patreon, I released a little bonus video, I think either today or yesterday, where it was just kind of the outtakes and bloopers, kind of the behind the scenes stuff from Adrian and I's little reaction video. So it's good fun. There's a couple of gags in there. I wish, looking back on it, I would have put in there that I cut for time. One involving a particular X-Men that I was quite a fan of that didn't make it to the original cut. I wish I would have put it in there. So, so it's good bit. It's good fun though. Good week.
X-Men, huh?
Yeah, you said it. So you don't remember what you said, do you?
It's
all right. It
Blur.
was yeah. No, I'll tell you later.
It always is.
Mm-hmm. It's great, but that's awesome, Gracie. Meeting Lloyd Kaufman at a film festival on Friday. That's great. We I think at one point we were slated to maybe interview him.
Yeah, it was thrown around. Unfortunately, never formulated, but I would love to circle back eventually and get Lloyd Kaufman. I was excited when that
Dude's
got
been
presented.
around forever.
Yeah, it would be. There's a few people. You know, we get to interview a lot of different creatives, but there's always that hit list of people you grew up watching, films that are, you know, ingrained in your horror DNA. So I would love to sit down with Lloyd Kaufman and just be able to kind of pick his brain and dive into some films.
Yeah, I'd want to talk about stuff that's not like just the Toxic Avenger, like Poultrygeist and some of the other stuff that he was more like producer on, just because like at that time running Troma like that, I just would be curious to see all the perspective he had on all these different productions. Like there's just a ton of stuff in there. So that's one of those ones that I'm like, I'd hope we can get to it. I'd love to set something up. I mean, there'll be more opportunities, I'm sure. I did also want to agree here with Rob. Yes, we're doing pretty good right now. I mean, like the month of May is absolutely stacked to the nines. Like we have Obsession, Hokum kicking things off, and then we have Passenger, which looks pretty good. The new Andre Overdahl. I will say I'm sick of that trailer. I don't want to see the trailer anymore. But that one's pretty good. And then there's oh god, what was the last one? Backrooms. If Backrooms hits, it's going to be a crazy month. May is going to probably be the standout for horror, but we still got a lot of time. So we'll see. 2026 is shaping up, though.
Yeah, and it's exciting. I know we talked about it either last week or the week before. We mentioned in one of our videos where we were talking about Lee Cronin and in the Mummy video, where it was kind of like the Mummy was kind of, you know, the starting line. It's like we've had some good releases over the past few months, a few that'll probably be in my top 10 by the end of the year. But it's like once we got to Lee Cronin's The Mummy, it really was like, oh man, all this is on the horizon. You know, the summer's going to be strong. Resident Evil, or not Resident Evil, Evil Dead. And then Resident Evil's coming out. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But Evil Dead coming out in July. It's like we're really hitting the ground running here in the next few months with horror.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of good stuff coming out. I feel like I've been looking forward to this next Evil Dead forever, dude. I'm ready to watch that.
Yeah, it's coming, dude. It's right around the corner, really. Like if you look at it, we got like 3 months until that one's out. Because it's like it's May, June, July. Yeah, so it's
July 10th.
It'll be here before we know it, dude. Like your wedding month is gonna go by so fast. Like you're getting married in June. You're not even gonna. It's gonna feel like 2 weeks. Yeah, like so that's gonna be here before you know it. Silhouetted coming in with a $10 donation. Thank you, sir. Mondo Macabre is releasing, what is this? Marquee on limited Blu-ray, which I need y'all to check out. It's insanity.
This looks wild. I've never heard of it or seen this, but this looks really interesting.
I will look. But if it's from Silhouetted, I'm sure it's something crazy. So
Mondo Macabre.
Is this the first release? I'm not familiar with this. So Silhouette, is this a first release here? I've never heard of this, and I don't see it streaming anywhere. But
looks like we're just going to have to get that Blu-ray.
Absolutely. Oh! Well, now you have me sold. Thank you, Silhouette. I love the not suitable.
Good Lord. Oh, is that
Don't pull it up on stream,
bro. Is that what I think it is? This little face on a thing. Oh yeah.
That
Oh,
looks
it
pretty
is.
freaky.
Okay, you know what? All right. Okay, my interest is piqued. P for not safe for work appendage. But yeah, don't pull it up on stream. Very good. Very good.
The whole
Scary
giant masks
movie
thing is kind of
will make
unsettling.
a joke about 6'7". I'm sure they will. That's hilarious. But no, I'm gonna have to check that out. That looks absolutely wild and bonkers. That reminds me like of that list I did a while back where I was just talking about absolutely bizarro movies. Like I think I talked about like the Greasy Strangler and stuff on that list. Some of these, it's just they're just insanely mad art pieces, and I love them for that. So hopefully that'll scratch that itch. Let's see. I know other than the busy week we had, Adrian, how was your week back in Tennessee? What you got going on, man?
Hit the ground running, just got right back into work, saw crawl, as you know, just been kind of getting just wedding planning, well, less so planning, more like booking and finalizing type stuff done. Oh man, it's been a lot. It's basically just been wedding mode the entire time. Unless you want me to talk about weddings for 5 minutes, that's all I've got for you.
No, you're good. I would be fine to hear it.
Alien Isolation stream on Wednesday was fun. Appreciate y'all being there for that. Feel like we're getting close to the end here, so very excited to see how we're going to wrap up the story. The teaser trailer, I was talking about that during the stream on Wednesday, but it was one of those kind of like vague sort of, you only get to see a couple little things and sort of guess based off of what little they give you. It gets the fire burning inside me. And what a time to be streaming that and then watching the teaser, dude. That's perfect timing. So I'm very excited for that as well. Alien Isolation Part 2 or sequel.
Yeah, it looks exciting. I only saw the little teaser, but from everything we've heard, like how they're trying to kind of upscale the story and stuff, I really enjoyed the first story just in general. Like I said, I have the audio book for it. I'm getting to revisit that before I ranked all the Alien movies because I wanted to include that just because I think it is just a really solid story. I'm excited to see how they're going to continue it. I'm curious if they're going to continue with Amanda or if they're going to move on to something else. So that has nothing to spoil with the story at all or what you're playing, but it is just one of those things where I'm like, I don't know what they're going to do with it because the Alien Isolation, I feel like, kind of wraps itself up nicely. So,
yeah, being that I haven't seen that end yet, I'll probably have more context clues to play with once I get there.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. I like a lot of the stuff they ended up doing with it. Plus, I like how they use the synth like bot people or what do they call them in there?
Androids.
Are they just androids in Alien? Are they?
I feel like they've got a name, man.
I'm thinking Blade Runner is like replicants. Everybody's got their own name, but all right, you know what I'm saying.
Android.
I love how they use them in the game too. Like they're great little antagonists. They have a lot of fun jump scares and attacks that are pretty good. Working Joes. Yeah, those are
Working Joes.
That's from.
So they're all called Working Joes. That's right. Mm-hmm. I thought it was just like a branch of them.
Yeah, they are creepy. Absolutely, Violet. Let's
big creepy.
See,
hitting that uncanny valley a little bit.
Yeah, I was using one in the thumbnail. I prefer the term artificial person. Absolutely, Aliens reference right there, my boy. Love it. Oh God, I actually, you know what? I will admit, you know what I did this week on Monday.
What'd you do?
Atticus sat down. All right, I'm a bad parent, I guess. I know the Sledgehammer horror folks were getting a bunch of shit for taking their kids all to go see The Mummy or whatever. I guess you can throw me on that list too. We sat down and we watched Alien with an S $sign. So we watched that one together. I mostly bored out of his skull for the beginning portion of it, but once the Colonial Marines hit the base, dude, and really actually after the power loader scene where she's like, you know, where do you want it kind of thing, he was like, whoa, that's super cool. And he loves when I talk about like practical effects and I tell him like how they made it and stuff. So it's like he got really into it after that, but he absolutely just loved it. He was going nuts.
And then, that's a film as he gets older that he's going to go back to and rewatch and remember that as, a little kid. Cause that's what I did. I remember watching Aliens on TV. It seemed like that one was on TV all the time. And it's a great film,
Always.
but I think that's also why I'm so partial to it. It's just that
Thank you, Smiley.
gets you in the feels when you watch something like that. It's like, that's what I always think about too, when I'm showing Ella things. Cause it's like, she's going to remember that. She's gonna remember bits of that as she gets older and like just have a love for certain films. So it's like I always have that in my mind when I'm like when you're kind of putting together what your kids are going to watch as they get older.
Yeah, Mr. Boone for me, I was that way for a long time. I think just because like I don't know, as a kid, I guess maybe because of like my love for Jaws and everything, I was kind of like, well, the first one's always the best. That's what everybody says. So in my head, I was always like that as a kid, but as I got older, it's always kind of moved back and forth. I think like for the last couple of years, I would say Aliens is my preferred, but I guarantee you we'll see one more Alien movie or something that's a little bit closer to the original with its tones and stuff like that. I mean, Alien Earth. That was another one that I think it really captured the tone of that first movie really well in those first few episodes. So it's like it's a good one, but I always go back and forth. I can't choose which one I like more.
As a kid, it's like even as an adult, we always talk. I really do love my sequels, and I think that is going in as a kid because your attention span is shorter as you're a kid, and I think going into the sequels, I always loved the sequels as opposed to the original growing up, just because we all know it's like you find the format, you kind of find out the vibe of what the franchise is going to be. Like the original Friday the 13th is way different than Friday the 13th Part 4. And it's same with kind of like Alien versus Aliens. Aliens is so action packed, and once, like you said, the Colonial Marines get on the base, it's like we're ready to go, and it's action packed. So it's like Child's Play 2 was always my go-to because it's like Chucky gets his personality. It's like we don't have some of the hangups I think of the originals where it's like you got to really lay the solid foundation. And you kind of really just get into the concept.
I think that's why I like love Jaws 2 so much, because Jaws was always like my favorite. So it's like that was just like getting to see more of the shark stuff without losing any of the like great character from the first, because it's just Brody again. So it just does feel like an expansion pack of a movie to me. Like I love how they burn Jaws in that. It's like it really is an underrated flick in my opinion. But I do absolutely love this, Gracie. I used to watch this show with my dad all the time on Sci-Fi Channel. He would love this stuff. Like, yeah, I haven't had him sit down and watch like the behind the scenes of everything yet, but I have shown him like YouTube videos with like some of the behind the scenes stuff, especially for gosh, what was it? It was my disturbing practical effects video. When I was showing him the American Werewolf in London, like Rick Baker's stuff behind the scenes, because he was like he was down here while I was editing it, and he just looked over and he saw how Rick Baker had like the big werewolf, just sitting behind him, and he was just like, "Daddy, it's a big one of your werewolf like figure," and I was just like, "Yeah, it is a big werewolf figure, isn't it?" And I started explaining it to him, so it's the best, dude.
Adorable.
That kind of getting that understanding of the effects. I don't think I had appreciation for that until I got older, but I absolutely loved Face Off when that was on TV. That, Scare Tactics, and the Deadliest Warrior were like the three that I would always watch anytime they were on television.
Yep, I loved what was that other one? It was Deadliest Warrior. I always watched 1,000 Ways to Die. That was like right after Deadliest Warrior all the time. But like it was that, and then I think Face Off, and there was one, I think it was like on Fox or something, but it was they did like 2 seasons of it. It was like Project Greenlight or something, where it was like these people had to come in, and like each week they had to like make a short film or a scene or something that related to a different aspect of
I never watched it, but I remember
filmmaking.
I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was like, I remember it came out the same year that like Transformers, the first one, did. So like 2007, because like they were pimping out like Michael Bay and Transformers the whole season. I remember that. And it was like a summer show. So I forget what it was, but it was good. And I always liked those. They were always a lot of fun. So
was that the thing, Project Greenlight? Because I just looked it up and I thought that was correct. It had Ben Affleck and Matt Damon in it.
Okay, no, that's a different one. This
Okay.
one is it was like a 2007 like TV show. Maybe it
Okay.
was that, I don't know. But I'll maybe I'll find it later, but we'll yeah, it was one of those ones that really just always caught my interest as a kid because it was like it was just everything I liked. It was movies. It was just getting in there. And then Face Off, practical effects. I mean, it goes hand in hand. I love seeing all that stuff, the makeup and everything. It's truly like talented stuff.
They used to show this thing on FX, and I don't know what it was called exactly, but it was like they had like two hosts. They would show a film, and they would show like the behind the scenes that you would normally get on a DVD, and they would just talk about the film. And I think that's really where I started getting my groove of like wanting to buy physical media just so I could see the behind the scenes stuff because it was like, oh, that's so cool. You get that extra story. And I never really thought about it. To my knowledge, I don't think there was really any of that type of stuff on VHS that I recollect. I don't know if there was room on a VHS for that type of stuff. But then as soon as I started picking up DVDs, I remember getting like Alien versus Predator and being like, oh my gosh, they have all the bonus features on there. And I would like watch the film first and then just go
Dude,
through all the bonus features.
that came out in the era of 2-disc, 3-disc special
Yes.
editions where it was like, yeah, fucking like 4 or 5 hours of random content on that. It's like they would hire full like production crews back then to like make behind the scenes stuff of these movies. Cause like the Transformers movies were another one, huge back behind the scenes stuff. Like they came with tons of discs and things like that. I remember being a kid and just watching all of this stuff, like just throwing it on like whenever I was like really little. It was like me just like playing with toys and then putting on like the movie, and then after the movie I would just put on special features. Because if you remember, I had VHS for a little while, but I remember if it had special features at all on VHS, it would start playing after the credits. So you would have to fast forward or rewind to whichever part you wanted to watch. So sometimes I'd watch them through there too. So very cool stuff.
Vaguely remember seeing special features at the tail end of certain movies growing up, but very faintly.
Hell yeah. Let's see. My first horror vid on my channel was like 7 years ago. Was a show, Harper's Island, and I remember I stumbled on a behind the scenes video where they showed all the practical effects, and I was in love. Hell yeah. There you go. Stir of Echoes mentioned.
Yeah.
There you go. I remember Stir of Echoes was one of the first DVDs I saw. Had a cool animated menu and behind the scenes. Oh yeah. You know what's hilarious about that is like cut to circa 2016. Adrian and I are in our I guess our vocational school, like extra schooling, learning to do video production and everything. And we're learning about how to make those menus and stuff just on our computers. So it's like, it's just something you can now just make in a completely different encoding program. And it's super funny how like that was at one point, like this big state of the art thing was just an animated menu. It's like, I love that.
And I don't have anything to add to that, but I just wanted to talk about Echoes for a minute. Anytime we get to bring up Stir of Echoes is fantastic. They had a pretty nice release. Was it last year or the year before? That had some special features on there, and I know we covered it. We did a video on it. Was that your first time watching it, Dylan?
Yep, that was my first time. Like I had seen it because it was like my mom and dad loved that movie, but I'd seen bits and pieces of it on like FX and AMC over the years. But yeah, no, that was my first time really sitting down and giving it a full, like, no bullshit watch through, and it was fantastic.
It's so good. That scene at the very beginning where the kid's out of the tub and he's like, "Does it hurt to be dead?" always gets me. And whenever that one pops up, there are scenes in there that'll just give you chills, and it never fails to. It's like that is a film I will watch at least once a year, and just it puts me right back into when I watched it back. Was it 1999 or 2000, whatever it is, and it still works. All this decades later, it still hits you just the same.
Yeah, the thing that oddly enough this watch through really stuck with me at the beginning of that movie was just the idea that they like went to a neighborhood party. It's like it really did feel like me as a kid growing up, like seeing stuff. It's like my parents didn't necessarily do that, but like we would have like my grandparents had a deck and they lived next door to us for the first few years of my life. So I vaguely remember when like people would come over and it would do that. And I remember my parents would like put us to bed, and then they go to my grandparents. They'd have like a bonfire or something, and sometimes like the kids, like myself, my cousins, would get up and go out. So it was like seeing that scene. It was just like completely transported me back to that era and that time. And it's like I think it's a very special movie, not because of necessarily how it makes me feel in that way, but just also the way it tackles the subject matter and how it like kind of paces out that mystery. I just never really saw anything like that before. How they chose to have this, what almost seems like a possession like thing happening, but it's actually not like sinister or evil. You know, it's a cry for help. It's really impactful shit.
Yeah, especially just seeing Hokum, where there's kind of a mystery
Oh,
tied
yeah.
in. It's like, you know, I think Stir of Echoes works really well like that as well. But you know, you don't get many films in the late '90s, early 2000s that hold up as much as, you know, in 2026. And I think Stir of Echoes certainly does, where it's like having that vibe of the late 90s into the early 2000s, where it's like I was a little kid, and it really just has a great handle on what that film is of the time period. And like you said, that supernatural element, but also having a little bit of mystery in there to exactly what is going on. Just a really unique film.
Absolutely. Definitely worth checking out if you haven't seen it. Stir of Echoes, love that one. Huge Kevin Bacon fan, so you know, easy sell for me over here. But I guess since we've talked a little bit about that, I don't really have much. I am sorry if I ramble or anything. I'm exhausted today. I did a ton of yard work, so and I it was something I was trying to do all week, but it kept raining.
Let's go.
You know, but got all that done. So I'm a little sleepy, but I'm powering through it. I'm excited because a couple of these stories are pretty big. So there you go. Absolutely. Smiley gets it. It's been raining like every single day, and it's been cold, and then like it was like 40 degrees yesterday, and then it got to like 60. So like I'm like getting a cold, getting over a cold, whatever. It's all messed up. So yeah, it's
Dude,
rough.
It'll be super sweaty here, like 80 degrees, and then it'll just be like anywhere between 40 to 60. Especially waking up in the morning, dude. It's just so brisk. Such a wild weather. But yeah, it's already bonfire season here in Tennessee, so be jealous.
What up, Stephanie? Welcome. Loving the cold,
What
though.
up,
Hey,
Steph?
if that's your thing, I agree. You know, I only like the cold when, yeah, see, Rob gets it. 36, like that's just too much. But if it could be like 40 degrees at night, like where I could just have the windows open, or like maybe 45 degrees, or just a nice breeze, like if we could just have that permanently, I'd love that. Just like dusk, it'd be amazing.
Dude, 46 and pitch black at night is your ideal weather.
I like it cold. I like it kind of cold because I have nice blankets, so I like to like wrap up in them. I'm also one of those people who will, unfortunately, because I run really hot, and so does my son, we have found that we're both people who need to sleep, even in the wintertime sometimes, with fans on. Just like I need like a steady breeze, like moving, in order to make me like cool enough to fall asleep. It sucks. Drives my wife crazy. She was really hoping Atticus wouldn't develop that way, but nope, he took after his old man. Yeah, he's a warm sleeper.
Sometimes it sucks at first, but I forget what those are called, like the sheet style, like comforters or whatever.
Mhm.
They go underneath like a quilt or whatever. Sometimes just one of those during the summer is all I need, dude.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, I agree. Nothing like a big, soft, like kind of chilly. You know what I really want to try are the if we have a sponsor that's listening, please send me some cooling sheets. I want to try them. Send me some good ones. I want to experience that. I hear they're all the rage and keeping big fellows like me cool at night. So I want to try it.
You want to stay chilly, Dylan?
I like to be cold at night. I like to be closer to an ice box or a dead guy. You know, like if I could sleep in a morgue, I'd be in heaven.
Fetishes. I like it.
Absolutely. But speaking of morgues, let's talk about Resident Evil. Yes, I know, the big controversial trailer. Oh my god. Yeah, and I know I'm real excited to see what the old Adrian guy over here thinks about it, considering it's he just played through 9, so we're gonna see how it goes. But yeah, Luke, why don't you take us away, sir?
Absolutely. Well, Zach Krager is stepping into Resident Evil territory, and if this teaser is anything to go by, It's about to get seriously unhinged. This isn't a direct adaptation, but a ground level nightmare running parallel to Resident Evil 2 as Austin Abrams plays a medical courier thrown into a collapsing city. On the very first night, the T virus outbreak begins. The teaser promises a relentless, game like descent packed with tension, dread, and brutal set pieces as the story pushes deeper into Raccoon City. But with so many failed attempts at adapting this franchise, there's real pressure to finally get it right. So after that first look, is this the Resident Evil movie fans have been waiting for, or just another reinvention that misses what made the games so iconic? Boys?
Who's gonna
Who's
draw?
going
It's
first?
gonna be me. So yeah, I saw this trailer and I just wanted to say that this looks like such a fresh plot. An ordinary person being caught just as at the peak essentially of the outbreak by what it seems like. Because I believe that's what the plot was in Resident Evil 2 was that basically shit was hitting the fan at the absolute maximum. So seeing it kind of from like, this guy is not like an action hero. We see him with some guns, so he'll eventually evolve to be that way. I just feel like this is a pair of fresh eyes we get to witness Resident Evil through, and I'm really hyped for that. Zach Krager, that's the dude who did weapons and all that stuff like that.
Yep.
Really,
Yes, sir.
in Barbarian, of course. I really loved his approach. I wish there was a word to describe it. It's just fresh, it's new, it's different. It hits, and this looks really stupid. I almost said stupid. I meant to say dope. Why did I say stupid, bro?
This looks really fucking dumb.
Actually, this looks
wait to
exactly
see it.
like Evil Dead, dude. So I'm not interested because it's not Evil Dead.
I hate it. Looks so dumb. Can't wait to see it. 10 out of 10. But there you go. I'll just say I was genuinely shocked. I think did this drop Monday or Tuesday? I was down here like editing and
3 days ago.
It popped up like I'm like, are you serious? We're getting this right now. So I was like, damn, this is great. I was very curious to see what some actual footage would look like with this. I mean, we'd heard about Austin Abrams. We kind of knew what he was teasing at. We'd seen the logo and stuff, so we kind of had an idea, but damn, this looks great. Like as me just being like a very outside observer, someone who's only played a handful of the games, I'm a malleable Resident Evil fan, I guess you could say. I was never married to the movies. I was never married to the original games. So this approach looks exciting. This looks like really intense, and I love how it really does feel like, Gracie said it great here. I mean, we did a whole new POV literally with Ethan Winters, and those games are awesome. I think this choice makes sense. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought of. I thought of Resident Evil Biohazard and Resident Evil Village a lot in this trailer. Like, it just felt like this dude, as they described, is just falling into a situation where, isn't he like an organ carrier or somebody?
Yeah, medical carrier.
Medical courier.
So like bro's transporting human, goodies. This is a zombie franchise. It all makes sense. I love it. Like, that's good stuff. And I mean, honestly, I trust Zach Krager with basically anything right now. I love both of his last two movies. And I think that if this hits, like, this is going to be fantastic for at least the Resident Evil franchise as a whole, because like their games have been great for a while. Like, when was the last time like anybody really hated a Resident Evil game? Can you think, Adrian?
Raccoon City.
Oh, really? The one that we
and Resident Evil 6, technically, because like they just hit this like action approach. It needs a good mixture of horror and action, and maybe for a lot of folks, those had like too much action or whatever. I like Raccoon City, but it certainly wasn't for the scares. It was just to play as a dope ass Umbrella operative or our RCPD.
Oh my god, Penelope is literally like connecting into my brainwaves right now. That's exactly what I was thinking of from Return of the Living Dead. Send more send more paramedics or send more ambulances. That's great. Send more organ carriers. Love it. RE6 was like a 12-year-old boy wrote it, but I love it. Yeah, that's what I've heard. And I just think like let's see what this is. Remember, Kreger's done a lot of misdirection and mystery with his trailers, not pretending to know what's coming, but expect excellence. Yeah, I agree. I think that like this is a trailer that I think did enough for me to make me excited to follow Austin Abrams. I'm real excited to see his character not as a crackhead, really taking on a lead role. He was great in Weapons, but he is a character
We
that you
don't
can't
know
really...
that he's not a crackhead, though.
Okay, fair enough. I don't think he's a crackhead, at least.
He could be a functioning crackhead.
But I'm really feeling this. Luke, how are you feeling about this? We haven't even really like dove too deep into that, but
yeah, you know, with this one, we always the name of the game usually is you're not sold on something until you see a trailer for it. I think there are a handful of directors that I'm instantly sold on anything they're going to do. Zach Krager's one of them. And when he had come out and said, "Hey, this is going to be my original take," I think some people had a problem with it. I was absolutely sold just because when you look at adaptations, hey, the record speaks for themselves where most of them don't hit. We have a very few that are actually adequate adaptations. Very few ever exceed that. So I think pulling from source material, you kind of have that expectation. I was excited that he was going to do his own original story. I think when you look at this stuff, you can play within the parameters, capture the spirit of the game and bring it over to film, but don't verbatim do one of the installments because it's never going to be as good. I think you're going to set yourself up for failure. Him doing something completely different like this, you don't have the expectation or the franchise baggage, I guess, and you can really just go out there and do something intriguing. Barbarian, Weapons are both very intriguing stories. I think they really work well in the horror space. So I've had all the faith in the world for Zach Krager, and after seeing this teaser, I mean, it just kind of cemented my expectation for it because I love where he goes with this. I know he said we're going to focus a little less on, I guess, what you call them zombies, but more about kind of the creatures. And he said that looking at this, the T virus can really expand in terms of the effect that it has. So why just have the zombies be the focal point? We've seen enough of that. So he felt like it would be a missed opportunity not to really take advantage of an expansion of lore. And Zach Krager always does some crazy stuff with the storytelling. So I'm really excited to see where he's going to go. There are just several moments. I know we're talking about the hefty gentleman that's in the sewer, but I like that too because he said that was original. That's something where it's a nod to one of his favorite books. So it's like I love that
it's Dune. It's fucking Dune. It's the Baron. That's what it is. I'm sorry, I'm a big Dune fan, so I could see it from a mile away. But it's the big fucking guy. It's Stellan Skarsgård's character. If you haven't seen Dune, just look him up and you'll see. But yeah, it's clear as day. It's the Baron. But that excited me because there's a big hefty boy in I believe he's just in. Is he in Village? And no, I think he's in Biohazard as well, but he's in Village and he lives in a little cart and he's great. Like he's really an unsettling, awful character, but like if he's anything like that, yeah, it's great. Yeah, the Baron Harkonnen. There we go.
Yeah, he reminded me of Chunk's older brother, or like, you know, just some dude who hit the T virus, but he hit the food a little bit more. You know, yeah. I love seeing all the memes for it. What's funny is I actually saw the memes before I saw the trailer. So like once I saw the trailer, I was like, oh shoot, I already seen this. But he looked cool, man. I'm wondering what his deal is.
Yeah. Here, just so I can illustrate. So this is it. This is him here. And then if you go to like, we'll just go to Stellan Skarsgård's portrayal because the little drawing here is a little not safe for work. So, which picture I think is the closest to this? This one I'll do. Yeah. And share this tab instead. All right. See what I'm saying?
1,000%. Look, like, so I already got a comparison up there.
Oh, is there?
Looks like right next to you. Or is that the same dude?
I believe it is the same dude, my man. Oh, right here.
Dude,
Yes, it is.
But you see what I'm saying? Like they have the same shadow thing kind of going on. All right, less so once you blow it up on the big screen there, but
yeah, but like, yeah, it's definitely the Baron Harkonnen. Like it's
Classic
it,
swimmer's body.
yeah, absolutely. This dude is super fucked up too. Like he's a terrible piece of shit character. Like his he does a lot of awful things. Show us Peen. I can't do
Yes.
that. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's oh, he was just in Village. He's cool AF. I think it was the Duke. You're correct. Yes, it was the Duke. Yep. Yeah, he was only I think yeah, that he but he knew no, he didn't. I'm thinking of it wrong. But yeah, I mean, it's just super cool shit like that, and I love that sentiment to look more into like what the T virus can create, because like as much as I sympathize for Resident Evil fans who wants an adaptation of their favorite games, because if you look at it, really I don't think they've ever had a movie that is truly a one-to-one adaptation. Like they had what, 8 movies, 9 movies? Was it 10 maybe?
It got insane after a bit. I watched like the first maybe 4 and then called it a day.
Yeah, like of the Paul W.S. Anderson ones, and then we had a couple animated movies that apparently were pretty good. But really, I think if you go to live action, we had the TV series and then Welcome to Raccoon City, which I heard was not great. So, you know, it's kind of a very, very mixed bag. So I guess I understand where some fans could be very frustrated with them going with a new approach, new material again. But like, I feel like you have to look at the optics too. And really, I think this trailer is the best representation of that. Like, this feels like one of the newer Resident Evil games. Like, it feels right in line with some of the tones and stuff, especially from Biohazard and Village. Like, Resident Evil 9 gets a little bit bigger, but like, we could see that as they get deeper into the movie. It's like he says they're going into doesn't he say it's like just a descent into the bowels of hell? So it's like, you know, I imagine we'll get to see some big stuff. So.
And I think adaptations are so tough, to please a established audience, just because it's like, hey, we what was it, the Mortuary Assistant, where it was like they tried to integrate how the game works into the narrative, and it never really felt organic. It just felt like they were trying too hard to accomplish in what the story of the video game was, just so they could please fans, and it just felt like it stuck out like a sore thumb. But then you look at something like Exit 8, where the aesthetic is what the video game looks like. But they attached a different narrative to that. And I think that really works well. So for me personally, I like the take that we're going to work within the realm of the established lore, but we're not going to tell the story that you've already been told through the video game, because it's like, it's not going to live up to the hype. It's just, there's going to be something underwhelming about it, whether it's casting your favorite main character or the villain. Something is just going to be a miss to you. So I like what Zach Krager's doing here, where it's like, hey, this takes place during the events of Resident Evil 2. We're not telling the video game story of Resident Evil 2. It's just taking place during those events. We're going to create our own characters, and we're going to expand on some lore maybe that we haven't seen, because I like that he said we're going to focus more so on the creatures. This is a creature heavy story, because when you look at something like the T virus, that opens up the door, because he said there's no nemesis in here, and it's like, okay, he kept mentioning the gigantic hairless man, so he is hairless, just so you guys know. He's baby smooth, but it's like, I like that they're going this route with it, because going into that film, I know some stuff about Resident Evil, but I have no idea what the story is going to be. Just like any Zach Krager film, Barbarian Weapons, they've never disappointed in terms of what he's been able to do with its narrative. And I like that idea going into Resident Evil. I don't want a regurgitation of some sort of a previous video game. It's just going to be from the mind of Zach Krager playing within the parameters of Resident Evil. And I love that.
I think, like, as far as like your comment here goes, Gracie, like, I agree with you. Obviously, I love my creatures. I love anytime you can get creative with some monster art and stuff. But like, I think there's a time and a place for the zombie stuff in Resident Evil. I think, like, if they're going to ever use them, like, it kind of, did he say they're not using them at all in this, or are the zombies not in this at all?
He said He said 2, maybe 3 sequences, and 2 of the sequences that have zombies in them were in the trailer. So pretty
That's
much
what I was
that.
confused by. I was like, I thought we
That's what I was
saw
gonna
some
say.
of
I
that.
thought I saw
So,
some too.
but like, yeah, it's like, okay, that's great. Like,
It's just not their
they should
focal
be a
point.
garnish at this point. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
and that's
Like
what he's treating it like.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. Then I think that's a very smart way to use those, at least for this outing. And you know, if this does well, like we could come back to it. We could continue this story, or maybe I know our buddy Alex did a video on his channel for Beyond the Void where he talked about this trailer and just kind of how they could take the Evil Dead approach, the Evil Dead formula, and apply it to this, where it's kind of like you get creatives with the world, with the lore, who kind of have their own little story to tell in it that can kind of have a different feel, a different vibe. Like we could really see somebody basically do a straight adaptation of, I know the fans would probably love a Resident Evil 4 Leon Kennedy with the crazy village people kind of thing. Like that I'm sure people want that. And I think we could get there. So it's like, if this is successful, of course, because hey, if there's anything we do know about the adaptations in this franchise, they have all been mostly dog shit. So like that's that's where we're batting at right now. But I like this guy. I hope he does well. And so far this trailer looks great.
1000%, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right there with you. I mean, you know, he hasn't disappointed thus far, and I like that we're, you know, surprising to me when this was announced that Zach Krager was going to be doing a Resident Evil film, just because I felt like Resident Evil was going down the route of where Silent Hill is right now, where it's kind of like a little bit radioactive, where it's like we've had so many terrible installments that not a lot of directors would probably want to pick up that property because it is an uphill battle. And I felt like that's where Resident Evil was, where I was surprised that he was doing it, but I was excited that he was going to do it, because when you kind of give him creative control of what he wants to do and what stories he wants to tell, he doesn't disappoint.
That's why I'm excited that it looks like a fresh approach to it. I mean, you see that the moment you watch the trailer, everybody who's going to see the trailer is going to know this is going to be something different. So anybody who's been burned before, they can have a chance to experience the world in maybe a format they may like better.
Yeah, and I do like the adjacentness of it as well. I've always thought that was a really nice way to kind of tip your hand to the fans and also tell an original story, is to do this thing where you're like, I guess, like he said, it takes place during the events or right around the events of the second game. So it's like, you're right in there. Like if they find a way to tell this story where he's like outside of Raccoon City or something, like a few days after the events of the first or the second game, it's like that would work. Like, I mean, who's to say you can't tell? It looks like this story is probably going to be kind of just a one and done. Like, we're going to watch him basically get stranded, walk up to this house, and then God knows for the rest of it. So it's only going to be like a day, maybe. So we're not dealing with like a whole big length of time here. And I always think that's a smart approach as well, because I feel like you can't really offend anybody with that. Because at the same time, just as easy as you can plug it in, you could disregard it entirely. So it's like, it is what it is.
I'm excited to see like if they're going to really expand on the creatures, essentially, because I'm looking at the creature list now, and like they got zombie dogs, they got like those plant creatures that we were fighting in RE9. I'm really excited to see an organic horror approach to these creatures, and if they want to go out of the box with them as well.
I would like to see the zombie dogs get revisited. It's been a while since I think we've seen any of those on screen. I don't know. I haven't watched any Resident Evil stuff. The Lickers, I assume, are going to be in this at some point, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm also curious to see what he brings into this, because I saw some people putting some references to like some of the lesser games that people don't really like. One where it's like kind of, we see a little shot of it in the trailer there where it's like a hand made out of bodies, like coming out of the doorway. Like, yeah,
and
it's like
that thing looks so cool.
He did mention that's kind of going to be, he didn't want to go too deep into it, but in the interview he did mention that's going to be basically a main antagonist. It's going to be the thing that's going to be pursuing Austin Abrams.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Like, I mean, just look at this. Like, it's just a black void with hands and feet. And it's, again, tip my hat to him. It's just simple shit. There's nothing to it, guys. It is simple as can be. So it's like I love that. It's like all they did was, even if they didn't even shoot that, they just have CG put a couple people in there, and it doesn't have to be anything like extremely crazy. Like I love it.
He did mention, just regarding that, I'll read the actual quote. He said, I don't want to give too much away of whatever it is coming out of the door, but I will say that there's a mechanic I've put into this movie. It might be in some of the games, but it's a way the infected interact with each other. I don't know what that means because I haven't played any of the games.
I wonder if it's like a thing, like maybe they'll be fusing together. I know what the T virus is supposed to be is like, a weapon of mass destruction. And that would be a good way to clean up, is have all the organisms fused together. And maybe it just evolves into a crazy body, colossal.
It
Actually,
does
that'd be a
seem like
great
that.
idea if that's where it's going to go.
Like I could imagine this thing almost like critter balling down the road, where it's like just picking up zombies and other things that have the T virus like attached to them, just hopping into it and just kind of like barreling down. Like that is awful.
We get our plus-sized guy from the sewer hopping in there too.
Oh god. I think the dogs were the best part of the original Anderson movie. I would say were the dogs in the first movie, or was it just lickers? I forget, but the dogs, I remember them very specifically in the second movie, and they fucked me up. But yeah, I think like the first three, Paul W.S. Anderson movies aren't the worst. I mean, like they're fun, but I don't really watch anything after those.
I watch 2 a lot. If I'm gonna watch anything,
Yeah, 2 is probably my favorite. Apocalypse.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I like that we get out in the city in that one. That one is cool. That we get
I think
to
that
like
was a
roam
big
around.
critique. Wasn't that the critique coming out of the first one? Was like we didn't go out in the city, and then we got that in the second one. It just has a great personality. It's got a great vibe to it.
Yeah, it's definitely. We're gonna have to see him at some point. Yeah, the dogs appear in the school. That's right. Okay, cool. Yeah, I definitely am looking forward to Resident Evil. I know you guys are as well. I'm hoping we could get something lined up for this, to see this with some advanced stuff. I'd love if we could interview Zach Kreger. We've tried for Weapons and Barbarian. Both have failed. Maybe this will be the one. I'd love to pick his brain on a couple of things. But yeah, this is so far, this has really shot up my list of anticipated films for the year. And the fact that when does this come out? September?
Somewhere around there. It's fall.
It's insane. That's insanity that we only have to wait like a couple of months. Like
it's very surprising. We already got Weapons, and then Zach Kreger's coming out with another one right after. Very surprising.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think he's been working on this while Weapons was like getting its whole tour last year. So
we covered it like when it got announced.
Yeah, because they were saying that like they rolled into this like right away. So, but I could see him taking a little break after this, unless this is like wildly successful and he wants to go right into it. But like I could see him taking
working on that Gladys film too. So.
That's true. But he's not directing that. From what I understand, he's writing and producing.
I think so. I don't think he's directing. At least as of right now, he's not.
Who do you think they would get in the director's chair for that?
Didn't they? I don't know if they announced that. I thought they said he was working with someone from his team, but I don't know 100%.
Yeah, all right. I'd be fine with that. I just don't know. It's kind of like it's a little bit like David Fincher doing the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood series that's coming out. It's kind of like kind of weird that somebody else is doing Tarantino stuff, but then also it's like David Fincher. I can't like talk shit about him. Like he makes perfect movies. I don't know what to say. Like it's like I can't like really. It's a weird feeling to be in. It's like sure, I guess. Fuck it. Like
we'll have to wait and see. It's like it doesn't seem bad.
No, so it's like it's not bad. It's just weird. It's like you would never think like these.
It's hard to critique it.
Yeah, it's so odd. But hey, I'm down for it. But why don't we hop on into the next story there, sir?
Absolutely. Well, the Woods are calling again, and the return of the Blair Witch Project might not be what anyone expected. With Dylan Clark stepping in to direct, the new installment is already raising questions about what kind of story it's actually telling. Is it a sequel, a reboot, or something entirely different? Well, according to an original cast member like Michael C. Williams, as he's involved in insisting it's not a remake, which only adds to the mystery. Backed by James Wan and Jason Blum, the project is clearly aiming to revive the franchise in a major way. So is this the return of true found footage terror or another attempt to recapture something that can't be recreated?
Huh.
I gotta say, the one piece to this that stuck out to me when we were talking about this, when we initially talked about this, Luke, I didn't realize they had already picked a director. Portrait of God is one of the scariest short films on YouTube, in my opinion.
I have not seen it.
I adore what they did with that. It was in my short films, horror short films.
I remember
list.
you talking about it. I think you recommended it to me, and I never got around to watching it.
It's it's very short. I think it's only like 8 minutes, but it is one of the, I gotta say, one of the most unsettling and just like thought-provoking cosmic horror shorts I think I've ever seen. Just like it was just like so well done. And I'm not trying to like hype it up. I just thought it was just, it made me think differently about what they were presenting, and I liked it a lot. So that's exciting to have somebody like that on this. I don't believe he's done a feature film yet, so this would probably be his first one. But yeah, this is that's got my interest a lot more piqued for this, because yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like I'm excited for whatever they want to do with Blair Witch, but at the same time, if they don't do anything with it, I'm not gonna be like shook up about it. I think Blair Witch is going to be one of those things that no matter what you do to it, it's always going to find a way to come back. They're always going to want to reboot it. It's just one of the most successful horror films of all time. I mean, it really, if you want to give it its cards, it kind of pushed found footage into the mainstream finally. So that's always going to be something, a well that we'll be going back to. So I say, let's spin it again. Let's see what they got. We'll bring some original cast members back, and Dylan Clark, again, I like his short films. Let's roll. It's got a good first name.
It's okay. It annoys me sometimes. But, going into the actual film itself, like, and maybe I'm not the best person to ask here, because when we're in 2026, asking is found footage the right play? It's maybe we're in a different space than we were in 1999, where this one really planted the flag and said, this is a found footage film, and kind of had a lot of inspiration for what would come right after that. And we didn't really adopt our being fans of found footage until we really started the channel. And then we kind of were like, okay, well, there's some pretty good stuff out there. So I would say found footage has had a pretty good run over the past few years in terms of the subject matter and how they were really able to approach it. We just covered something like the taking of Deborah Logan for one of our lists that's upcoming, and that's kind of found footage aspect to that, and I think that really works for the story that's being told, and you really see how well found footage can be done and the different avenue it can tackle with that sense of realism that is attached to it. With it could be a conventional story, but when you put it in the found footage realm, it really does feel a little more personal, a little more real than it would if it's more cinematic. So, Blair Witch, obviously having that IP, it's always going to be so recognizable. And after what year did was it just called Blair Witch had come out? Was it
2016.
16, okay. And that one, man, I think that was a huge miss. I haven't went back and watched that one, but I was pretty negative on it coming out of that. But seeing the resurgence of Blair Witch, I'm not going to, be a naysayer on this. I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do. But then it also, having some names attached from the original cast, I don't know if that could be a gimmick. That could be something that is going to try and spark some sort of conversation. But, I haven't seen Portrait of God. Now, probably right after Sunday Scaries, I'm going to go pop that one on and see what what Dylan Clark has to offer, because if Dylan speaks so highly of it, I'm definitely intrigued to see what kind of spin they can put on more of a modern take on Blair Witch.
And I mean, one short film is not, going to obviously cement that this guy's going to have it handled. am
That's what you
confident.
said. That's what you said, Dylan.
I know. I spoke too soon. So it's one of those things where it's like I am confident that I think he is a good pick, but it's just one of those where it's like I agree with Kim here too. It's like this IP is just not really the one that's going to excite me all that much as far as it getting rebooted. I think like the Blair Witch has had such an identity crisis since the first movie that like the sequel, which I don't think is all that terrible. Book of Shadows does a completely different thing. It does its own approach to it, and then 2016 is basically just trying to be a legacy sequel. That I thought the marketing to was way more interesting than the movie itself. So I don't know. I did not play the game. I know Luke, you and Zoe spoke very highly of the game, if I remember correctly, or Zoe
No.
did. No,
I don't know. She may have. I never watched her play it, so I know we've owned the game. I don't know how much of the game she played, but I wouldn't be able to comment on that. I'll have to ask her after we get off the stream here.
I think she told me it was pretty good. I remember somebody I talked to said it was pretty solid, and I know it's one I was going to recommend to Adrian eventually, maybe playing on stream because it's kind of like a Alien Isolation type. So, little lock you into your own little world there. We can't hear you, bud.
We have to read.
I bet walking around in the woods. Wait, is it a first person or a third person game?
What up, Jig? It's a first person. First person. It's kind of cool. Yeah. You have like a dog sidekick because you're basically you're like a search and rescue dude for like looking for a little kid out in the woods. I like the setup and I've heard good things. So, and I believe it was Zoe who at least told me at one point she either played some of it or was told that it was really good, but I'm pretty sure it's everything I've heard about it. Like it's one of the better like things to come out of the Blair Witch universe. So
yeah, I've looked it up and I'm seeing some decent reviews, man. People on Reddit are saying positive things. And yeah, just walking around in some woods in first person, like kind of like the Slender games, dude. Good recipe, made me piss myself. Metaphorically, of course. Haven't done it yet, but maybe I'll have my 5 seconds of fame there.
Yeah, that is true. She apparently changed her name and everything. She's since come forward, I believe. People know who her identity and all that, but like, yeah, it was pretty like crazy because people thought that these people were dead. Like that, I remember all the documentaries, everything I've seen about Blair Witch, like that was a huge controversy. They had to have people come out just very similar to Cannibal Holocaust and say, hey, this was just a movie. Like people really thought that these kids were missing.
And that's going to be my question here in terms of what we're going to get with whatever this is going to be a sequel, remake, whatever we're going to do with the Blair Witch property, because, you can tie it back to Resident Evil, but I think maybe even worse, where Resident Evil, we're aware that that's a video game. It's a film franchise. It is fiction, where it's like when Blair Witch had come out, and I remember the whole buzz of like, no, this is real. There were documentaries on it. I remember watching a VHS about a dedicated documentary to the Blair Witch, its mythology. And
wasn't it on TV?
I think
it was
so.
Like a TV special they did leading up to it. I thought, yeah.
And in all the kind of mystery surrounding it, and that was such a big buzz around it. So it's like going into this, you're obviously not going to be able to reignite that buzz. I mean, we know that it was fiction, and even so, now today's world with social media and everything, it has a different connotation. It's got a different vibe. You'd uncover everything before the film even came out and be like, okay, it's all fake and this is all marketing.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you do here? Because I think the mystery surrounding the first one was what really sold it. They, talk about the Blair Witch, but they don't dive too deep into every little thing. I mean, the ending's pretty open-ended, I think, for the most part. So it's kind of like, what do you do here? Do you expand on the lore, but then you risk telling too much? Do you try and encapsulate what made the first one great? Because I don't think you can do that over the next few years and whenever this one comes out. So it's like, does this kind of have an identity crisis of what it wants to do? Or are we just doing this because, hey, it's Blair Witch, but then it has an expectation. That IP has an expectation. While it's notable, that first film is so iconic and found footage. So it's kind of like, is this going to be able to please the established audience that Blair Witch has?
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with like what Kim put there. Is like that is, if this franchise is going to do anything more, the only way that they can do this is if they let Dylan Clark or whoever has the ideas, which I think is interesting why they're, bringing back the original people who were there to shepherd it in some regard. I mean, we've heard that a million times and it doesn't always, just immediately sign a rank of quality to it, but it is exciting to hear that. I think the only way you do this is that you have to push this forward and you have to commit to something. I know a lot of the horror of that first film is what we don't see and what is left up to our imagination, especially towards the end with what we're hinted at and stuff. But unfortunately, if you that's a one and done kind of thing. So yeah, it's like you gotta kind of like commit to what this is, what the Blair Witch is, and give us some direction here, because that's the thing that the 2016 movie did not do. The 2016 movie basically gave us the original movie with modern cameras and a lot more people, and then a lot more people died, but that was it. So but at the end of the day, you wound up in the exact same place you were after the first one, and they can't do that if they're going to do this. If it ends up doing that, there was no point in this in the first place, in my opinion.
And that's kind of another question where you talked about like modern cameras. Do you risk kind of, I guess you'd say, overproduction to a certain extent, where I think the beauty of some of the found footage that we see, it is lower budgeted. That's the beauty of found footage, is if you don't have a big budget, you can really do something that you have an excuse for a low budgeted thing, like Milk and Cereal in Curry Barker. We just saw Obsession, and that has a high production value, but Milk and Cereal, what they made it for $800, and it is found footage, so it's kind of makes sense that it is really low budgeted. It adds to the realism there, but then crossing over to a modern day Blair Witch, it's gonna lose that grittiness that the first film had, because since this is an established IP, I'd be willing to bet that it's going to be at least decently budgeted, more so than a lot of the found footage that we do see. And will that take us out of it, depending on the story and what's being created? Is, if it's too pristine, is that going to take us out of the found footage aspect of it?
Yeah, that's the thing that I also consider, because like in my head, you know what I would do if I was like approaching this? I would approach this like almost like a mockumentary about like not necessarily the making of the movie The Blair Witch, but as if the Blair Witch was happening and was real, and then just do it in that sense where you're like following up on it, like have it be about the whole sensation of it, and then find a way to weave in horror, find a way to weave in a mystery maybe of like, uncovering it, and really again committing to what's real, what's bullshit, what's actually going on. And I think you can really reshape what the horror of the Blair Witch is if you approach it from that angle, in my opinion. But just doing straight classic found footage, yeah, I don't know if that's going to fly, dude. I don't know if that's going to take you where you want to be. And I agree with Jake here that they are definitely, of course, cashing in on the name. I mean, that's why they would do this. But as far as a built-in audience, I mean, I feel like you lost a lot of goodwill with the last few sequels. So who knows? I think people will be there if the trailer looks halfway as decent, but that's time will tell.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an uphill battle, just because there are so many questions surrounding this. Like, yeah, it is established IP, but it's a risky game to play here, because there is that built-in audience. So it's like, this could be written off as a cash grab and just say, hey, we're throwing out another Blair Witch film just so that we know that people are going to go see it. It's going to be a talking point. And by the time they figure out it's terrible, hey, we've already secured the bag, as they say, So it's like, and we'll wait another, what are we at? You said 2016, another decade before we release another
Dead ass. I didn't even think about that. It's been 10 years. Wow.
So it's like, I don't know. Like you said, we'll have to wait and see the trailer, but even then, I don't know necessarily if I'm going to be sold, because especially if we go found footage, you can throw together a couple of interesting shots, make it seem tense, and then we get into there and it's just a redundant mess of a film. And I was excited going into 2016.
I think everybody was. It
Yeah,
was
and it was
really
like,
exciting.
because I think that wasn't that the one where people went in at, was it called The Woods or something like that?
Yep, it was
And
the
then,
Woods at Comic-Con, and then they flipped it out when they came back out. All the posters said Blair Witch.
Yep, and there was a lot of buzz going into that one. And then I remember walking out of the theater being so disappointed.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they built it up as just like, again, they somehow were able to build that hype of like the original Blair Witch and like how they're going to continue the story. And the movie just certainly does not do that. It just literally, it adds maybe, it clarifies one theory that had been going around for a long time about that first movie. And I think like the time paradox or whatever they have going on there, or the dilation of it. It kind of confirms some of that, but that's about it. And even then, it's like we end up in the exact same spot we were before the movie started. So it's like there was no point in the movie. So it's a frustrating one. But this is also something Gracie brings up here that is kind of funny. Yeah, they have a thing about sisters. Sisters going missing is like a very commonly used trope in a lot of modern horror flicks. So,
well, you know, in this one, I think they did release the narrative's going to be someone's brother's missing, so they're mixing it up a little bit.
No, if they're gonna do it right, they got to do somebody's dog is missing, and they got to go after it. That's how you do it.
I don't know if people got
look. They're rebooting Air Bud, so why can't we do this?
Is this dog going to play basketball in the woods?
No.
It's an all-star.
He's a ghost hunting dog, you idiot. Come on. Think
like
with your brain.
Like Good Boy.
Yes. Oh, I didn't even make that. Yeah, it's a good one. That movie was sad, though. So this is going to be a lot more funny. Like, a lot more, like, there's going to be poop jokes and stuff. It's going to be great. Like, missing dog too upsetting. Yeah, true. I fucked that up. I should have went with something else. Ugh. Yeah.
I've only ever seen one paranormal encounter in all of my years. I kind of want to hear the story about how this convinced you that ghosts aren't real, Gracie. The Warrens person, I feel like that's closer to the sun than others. Man, I tried to go ghost hunting when I was 13.
Zombie dog. Poop jokes are a win in my book. Well, that's because you're a man of
poop is a trigger word after that one movie scene you showed me.
Solo? Yeah, you keep forgetting the title. You just want me to say it out loud so you can find it.
Dude, I promise, man. I'm just trauma blocking it. That's it. That one actually made me gag, dude.
Dude, yeah, it's a rough one. Jake is circling the drain of potentially. I think if he's still listening, this week, let's do a call, bud. Let's set it up. I'm ready. I got some scenes picked out, and I'm gonna put up another post if you're ready, and we'll do it. He'll be my next victim in the chair. So I'm excited to do more of those. It was a lot of fun. Even editing it was a lot. Like, again, putting up the extra bits on Patreon was super fun, and it just really made me sit there and think, like, damn, the next one for Patreon might be like 40 minutes, depending on how much like we get out of it. Because there's a lot of stuff I left on the cutting room floor that I wish I would have put in there. Even just parts of our conversation I thought were pretty funny, and like, just, I guess I was too focused on hitting that 25 mark. So
yeah, man. I'm like, sometimes I'll be doing stuff and some of those scenes will just like re-enter my head out of nowhere, just unwarranted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a changed man.
Hell yeah. All right, I'll give you a buzz. We'll talk maybe Tuesday. That'll probably be a good one, and then we'll see what we want to do, because I got to figure out another method with that, because, I mean, Jake, if he wants to come down, you can come to my house, for sure, but I got to figure out another method to do some of these remote, because I know some of the guests are in other countries and other places, so some of the people I have lined up here, so I don't want to obviously make them uproot their entire shit to come sit in the basement and watch goofy scenes. But if we can do it over StreamYard and find a way, I'll do it. So
there's definitely a way. If Erica was able to host those movies and stuff, we were able to come here and watch them. Essentially do that.
Oh, man.
Dun dun dun.
Huh. Interesting. Very, very weird. Let's see. Alrighty. Sorry, I got distracted by a little pop up here. But to put my like last little, I guess, stance on this, I will go into this cautiously optimistic.
Makes sense.
I think there's some good here. I like Dylan Clark. I like his short film. I am interested because we're getting the old people back involved. But again, if we are going to do anything of note with this title, we need to move forward. We can't just be in the same spot we've been in, because it's just pointless to just keep doing that. Like, I don't need a legacy sequel or a reboot. Just tell a different story. Like, let's do it. Please.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I'm putting a bow on it, I think it's a hot bunch of bullshit. But you know, I know it raises too many questions. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to go in optimistic. I've been burned, you know, already with the 2016, and I really don't know what the story is going to be. So I'm intrigued, certainly, but it's a tough IP to tackle. I'm surprised that they're doing it, because unless they already have a story in place, which maybe they do, maybe they have something that they're saying, hey, we absolutely have to tell the story and it isn't just a cash grab IP thing. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see in terms of a trailer and things like that. But even then, I'm going to go in very cautious with this one.
Yeah, I feel like you have to. This is a franchise that's burned you too many times. But we'll see. We'll be back talking about it when we get a teaser poster and a trailer, and suddenly we'll be the biggest fans of Blair Witch you've ever seen. So there you go.
Before you transition, I just want to say, Rob, this happened to me when we were jamming in my basement, but we like turn up the volume a bunch and we would just listen, and it turns out we were picking up on some really weird like radio station or something. Maybe it was an AM radio or something like that. But yeah, debunked. Boom. Ghosts don't exist. That's all I'm here to say.
Ghosts in the machines for sure.
No,
the amp was trying to gain sentience and trying to tell you that everything in your life is a lie. Existence is pain. It's trying to
I had
tell you to stop.
I had a sleep paralysis dream once where my cat was saying that to me.
Yeah. RFK Jr. is my sleep paralysis demon these days. It's really unsettling stuff.
Got a soothing voice.
It's not the worst, but it's all right. You know, he likes to talk about grasshoppers and shit, and then he kept trying to show me this. What was it that he recently let out that he said? Didn't he cut off like it was a bear. He cut off a bear's wang and like was showing it to people.
I was gonna say, did he offer you some roadkill?
I know, it's like that guy is wild, dude. Like, I love it. But it's one of those where it's like some of those if you've seen them on TikTok or Instagram, the sleep paralysis demon memes, like I think about those sometimes with certain characters from some of these movies where it's just like I'd love to just like get a silhouette and just start doing voices of people just outside your door. Like, yeah, dude.
Mommy, daddy.
Mommy, daddy. Save me. JD Vance is my sleep paralysis demon, but he keeps going out to the couch for some reason. Yeah, my couch was a perfect matte black. It was beautiful. I don't know what the fuck happened, man. It's like a mosaic on there now. It's just all messy, stained.
It's got a nice coat on it.
It's like a mosaic. There are a few sleep paralysis demon horror games, and yeah, no thanks. I'm interested. I'm looking them up now.
My cat stood on my chest while I was asleep, and I woke up and said, "Pinhead is." Oh Jesus, that would freak me out. You know what? The weirdest like nightmares, I think the most visceral nightmares I probably had, next to the ones when I was a kid and I thought there was a T-Rex outside my house. Tell me if you guys have had a similar one to this, but like I used to have, like when I was stressed out as a kid. I'm not trying to bring the mood down, but the very first time this happened was right around when my mom was passing away. And I would have these dreams, whatever bed I'm sleeping in, the room, I can see it, like picture it exactly. and for some reason there's a big ass fucking like rattlesnake like slithering in the bed. Like it's one of those things where you like see it and it goes under the blanket, so it's not directly going after me, but it's like it's the fact that it's like under the blanket with me somewhere and I can't see it. I don't know why those dreams would happen, and I would just wake up like, holy shit, like that is horrifying.
Had similar snake dreams, but it would be me running through the woods, and then like a huge fat cobra or something would swing down and like knock me upside the head, and I'd like hit the ground, not be able to breathe for a second, jolt awake. Good times.
So
What about you, Luke? You got any like classic like nightmares, sleep paralysis
not
memories
dream.
from back in the day?
That's right. I don't sleep, so I don't dream. No, I don't think I had any actually reoccurring dreams at all. I remember watching all the different types of slashers and everything. Freddy Krueger was my last one that I had ever watched, and it was like Freddy's Dead was the very first Nightmare on Elm Street that I ended up watching. Again, it was like it's like the worst one, so it was always at the video store. And I remember being terrified to go to sleep because I was like, wait, he gets you in your dreams, and I was pretty fucked up for that one. But like that was like the only time that I ever had any issue. I ended up falling asleep really late, you know, but it was just like always in my head where it's like, you know what, I don't want to sleep tonight because I think Freddy's gonna get me. But I never had any reoccurring dreams that would freak me out. I would sleepwalk as a kid though. I would get up and turn on lights and shit and then go back to bed.
I did sleepwalk apparently. The one time that I can recall, I was in my driveway as a kid, just between, again, my grandparents lived next to us. So like I was there. My grandma woke up in the middle of the night. My parents were all asleep. And suddenly like I just woke up in the middle of the night out in my driveway. It's like the middle of the summer in my pajamas, and I'm just standing there crying. I was already crying and I didn't know what was going on. And I just woke up to my grandma like talking to me, and then my mom and dad like showed up, and I guess like it was one of those things where you're like kind of waking up slowly.
Yeah.
So I was just like it was all coming to me, and I that is like the only sleepwalking thing I can remember. So
It'll freak you out because it's like I never woke up during any of my like sleepwalking stuff. I would go back to bed and then I'd wake up the next morning, and like one of the ones, my bedroom was upstairs, so I would actively go down the stairs and then go turn on lights when people were sleeping, and they'd ask me what I was doing, and I'd ignore them and I'd go back to bed. But then like the thought of like actively walking down the stairs while you're sleepwalking, like having that kind of
muscle memory.
Yeah, it's like without like rolling down the stairs and waking up always freaked me out, because it's like if I could do that, what are the limitations on sleepwalking? It's like, yeah, like I would have been absolutely freaked out to be outside of my house and waking up, because it would be like, well, if I can open up the door and actually walk outside, again, it goes back to Nightmare on Elm Street where the one dude's like sleepwalking, and was that, I don't know if that was number 2 or what it was, but it's like if there are no limitations on this shit, I'm not going to sleep.
Yeah, it's really some horrific stuff. The human brain is quite weird, especially with what it can do to us. I used to have anxiety dreams about trying to take 1,000 drinks and food orders in the bar I worked at. I hate that. I've had work dreams before. I think the last one was when I was working at a big warehouse, and I just kept hearing the scanner gun in my dreams, like literally.
That's kind of creepy.
People joke about that, but I just remember like waking up to it. It was usually I'd wake up to that, and then my alarm would go off, so it was kind of like the worst thing ever.
But you like, gotta wake up and go scan boxes for 12 hours.
Yeah, that was like right at the start of the channel too. So like right before the channel started. So it was one of those things where it was like I had that, and also I was a new father at the time, so the lack of sleep, probably getting it when I could and doing all that, was just all kind of mixing together at that point. But I think as far as like other weird dream shit that I've had, that I don't know if you guys have had this. Have you ever had a dream where like you have to pee in real life, like really bad, and like in the dream you'll like go pee, but like you'll like, this is how it goes for me. Like it's usually at the movie theater, and it sucks because it's like a movie that I'm really anticipating. It's usually always one that's a little further out, but I'm excited that I get to see it, and I'm there and I don't want to miss it. So it's the previews, and I go pee, and I'm going pee, and then I go wash my hands, and I still have to pee. So I go back to pee, and then I get out and I can't stop. Like the sensation of needing to piss will not leave because I actually have to and I'm sleeping.
That was
And
in
it
a
just
dream.
is frustrating. It's the worst thing. And then I'll eventually I'll give up and I'll go back and the movie's like 45 minutes in and I'm just making up shit and I'm just like, fuck. Like it's the worst. It sucks.
That wasn't a dream. That was purgatory.
It's real life. Well, the theater that I usually have that dream at doesn't exist anymore. So that's the one where I get it.
My
Bee
version.
dreams. I wet the bed when I was a wee lad. See, that's the thing. Like, I never wet the bed from them, but I know, like, especially now, I think like I've had so many over the years that like at one point I do catch myself like, oh, I gotta wake up and go pee. But it's like it was just always one of those ones where it's like it's always I'm at the movies. It's always that because it's stressful, and I know I gotta get back or I'm gonna miss the movie. I don't know, it's just stupid shit.
My version of those work
Oh, don't
dreams.
tell me that, Kim.
Oh, good point. But yeah, I did kind of like a door-to-door type job, so it would just be kind of like liminal spaces of neighborhoods on neighborhoods on neighborhoods, talking to
Damn.
randomly generated people, almost getting them, but just not getting them.
And it's like you just feel like is it one of those things like the only dreams I've ever had about knocking doors was like kind of like that where it's like you can never just find your way out of the neighborhood. It's just like the roads just always keep going and going. It's all the build-a-grade shit, or it's the like the real parallel road shit, or like the stuff in like West Akron or whatever. Like it, or no, West Cleveland.
I'll even have ones where it'll be like a huge finite neighborhood, but I have to pick every single nook and cranny of it. And then, okay, that was my dream every night for basically 2 years. So bada bing.
Jeez. Well, that was a rousing conversation that came out of Blair Witch and dreams. So why don't we move on to another story there, Luke, before we bore everybody to death?
Absolutely. Well, DC dropped a teaser that flips everything you thought you knew about superhero movies because Clayface is stepping straight into pure horror territory. James Gunn isn't playing it safe either, making it clear that this isn't some watered down blend like Morbius, but a full on horror experience. Directed by James Watkins from a script by Mike Flanagan, the teaser doesn't give away too much, but lingers on that sense of eeriness and teases some really intense body horror. With this seemingly bold genre shift, will DC fully commit to a horror story without pulling its punches?
Oh, God. James Gunn made everything DC is woke. It's all woke garbage. Oh, God. Clayface is ruining everything. No, I think this looks great. I'm excited. I've been really anticipating this since Mike Flanagan, of all people, is writing this. I was hoping he'd direct it, but the dude's got so many projects. So I don't know. Like, I could easily see James Gunn greenlighting a very horror-centric DC movie, especially because, like, this is supposedly going to be, like, kind of in their Elseworlds universe, right? Like, this isn't necessarily connected to, like, Superman and all that, correct?
I don't know if they've announced that yet in terms of where this falls in terms of the universe. So I don't know if maybe they're going to be building to something, or maybe I feel like they're probably just throwing stuff out there to see what sticks right now, because it's like DC has had such an identity crisis in terms of the navigation of each different film. And it's like, oh, well, this is canon, but it's not canon to this. And then this version doesn't work, so let's just scrap that and then recast and try a different story. So it's like I don't know necessarily if they have that direction yet in terms of what's going, to go down in terms of is Clayface going to eventually build up to a meeting with Batman? Because I don't know, have they? I've also heard like the what Matt Reeves version with
Rob Pattinson.
Rob Pattinson is not canon to what's going to be happening in the DC universe. So it's kind of, I don't know if it's touch and go at this point, but I'll say the trailer has me really intrigued. I remember when this had gotten announced and I wasn't really familiar with the story arc. I knew of Clayface, and I watched Batman the Animated Series, so I knew I had seen the story arc, but I had forgotten all about it. And then I went back and watched, I think it might be a 5-part episode, and it's really intriguing. I love the story that's attached to the character, and being able to actually see this trailer and how those elements of body horror are actually playing into this, I think it's really intriguing that they're doubling down on horror.
You're talking about the storyline where Clayface was an actor, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, I love that. As a kid, that was always such a creepy. There's a couple of those episodes that had some creepy shit. Like the first episode of Batman the Animated Series, I showed that to Atticus a couple of weeks ago, just because he loves Teen Titans Go and all that. So but he still wants to know, like, what's the Batman you grew up with? So it's like I'll put those on, and that's the first episode has Man Bats in it, and like that's just such a scary, like, body horror episode. Like there's just so much of it there. And yeah, like Clayface is one of those ones that I've always loved the character. I even liked him in oh god, what was it? The Arkham games. He pops up in number 2, and I like what they do with him. It's a good twist, but I also just think like the interpretation there, even though he's more like a giant monster, is super cool. But I'm curious to see how far we're gonna go with Clayface here. Are we gonna get, like, I see in the trailer he like shifts his hand to like a mallet thing in like a silhouette. So I'm wondering, like, how far into this are we gonna get a giant monstrous Clayface body horror monstrosity by the end?
You know, and I think maybe we could work our way up into that. I don't know necessarily if that's going to be the story that they're intrigued to tell, for this first installment, if we're going to get more in terms of Clayface and its storytelling. But, written by Mike Flanagan, we know it's going to be having some really great horror elements to it. So that I'm certainly excited for. But I could see them building up, maybe not being something that is going to be represented continuously throughout the film itself, but maybe in terms of that third act and kind of being able to see some all-out horror, kind of like The Substance, where it's like, we see this big monstrosity toward the end of the film. Maybe that's the way we're going to play Clayface as well, to kind of do that less is more approach, to give the established DC fans what they want to see, but not lean too heavily into that this is a big super villain kind of story, and really just play more so on the body horror aspect of it.
Yeah, it's like I still think the Joker approach, even though the second one apparently didn't pan out very well, I think that's still very valid. I think like doing that, and then like you said, the Matt Reeves stuff is in its own little Elseworlds tale. Like, I'm so cool with that if that's what they want to do with this, especially because like I think they're alluding to this being R-rated, aren't they?
I think so. So I don't know 100%, but I do think that they've alluded to this being an R rating.
I'd love that. I would be all for that. I think like if we're gonna really lean into it being a horror film and being kind of a standalone, fucking go for it. DC has some of the greatest, scariest villains in superhero movies, like in superhero comics in general. So it's like, I think that they could definitely do this with a few more characters like Clayface. Scarecrow would be one that would probably be fun to see. Some kind of like psychological backstory to that, watching him like, before he puts on the mask and everything, just fucking with his patients and ruining them with all kinds of cocktails of drugs and things. Like, I'd love that.
Well, when you kind of, not necessarily double down, but at least let those horror elements creep in. When you look at, Batman Returns, I think, looking at Penguin, looking at Joker from those stories, you really do see some horror elements go throughout that. So it's like, when you lean into it and just let the horror be representative, you really do get something interesting, because these characters in themselves have a tinge of horror, whether, some more than others. But when you get into their backstories, you can find some horror elements in there. I love that they're taking advantage of that with Clayface, because it's like, yeah, the animated series, it's jarring in the what they cover, but it's not like true horror stuff, because they do focus on, the Clayface Batman issues,
dynamic, and then fighting,
where it's like, this one we can really lean into it. When you look at Aaron Eckhart as Two-Face, and I think looking at that, I think that had some pretty good horror elements to it as
great.
well.
It's a very tragic character, you know what I mean? Like, it's the way these characters, if you handle them right, even the first Joker movie, like, you handle these characters with care and some seriousness, the villains will literally, they can carry movies on their own in this universe. Like, I don't know why the fuck they tried to do it with Spider-Man. I'm not gonna lie, that shit didn't make any sense to me. But like, hey, you know what? Godspeed. This makes sense. I like this. So that's just what it is.
You know, and I keep mentioning Pat Krager's take with Resident Evil, but I think, you know, Clayface, you can kind of
Oh
see
yeah.
texture in that as well, where it's like, hey, DC's laid the groundwork for Clayface and the backstory and the lore, but we're gonna let Mike Flanagan kind of take that, tell a story, and then James Watkins gonna bring it to life, because, you know, James Watkins obviously has some horror background in his filmography as well. So I like that they're leaning into it. I like that
Yeah.
they're gonna kind of let this be its own tale. Maybe we can implement this in the universe down the line if maybe that's going to be the case. But if not, it's going to be a really interesting horror story. We're big body horror fans, and it looks like this one has some fun stuff that we can, you know, be terrified by, because that trailer, you know, him kind of having the blank face in kind of how fluid he is in terms
Yeah.
of what he's able to do really poses some interesting horror that we could be seeing on screen.
Yeah, it's gonna be really curious to see how they handle it. I'd really love to see. It looks like a revenge movie, like wholeheartedly. So I'm sure he's gonna use it to disguise himself as other people and really fuck with things. It's gonna get real uncomfortable. I'd almost like a little, not necessarily that they have to go full Paul Verhoeven here, but a little Hollow Man
I
in
was
there
about
would
to
be
say
nice.
Hollow Man.
A little bit of that, like kind of sadomasochistic, kind of like pushing the boundaries, maybe taking advantage of some people because of the powers he has. Like that'd be a really dark place to take this material. Also, I love this comment. Danny DeVito is if every movie Danny DeVito is in is a horror movie. I
Absolutely. Twins when he's got his shirt off, 100%.
fucking love Danny DeVito. And I'm fine with that. Like he's the best. He's somebody yes, you get it. Sorry guys, I'm really crashing. Rob gets it. Yes, Darkman is right where my head's at. That's gonna say if Clayface works, then Darkman can come back, baby. We can do it. Like, come on. But yeah, I'm excited to see this. I think this looks good, and I hope again, I like the teaser enough. I like the Resident Evil teaser enough. I don't really want any more trailers. I'm sold. Like these are both really intriguing concepts, but I know we'll get them, so we'll talk about them when they get here, and we'll see what other treats they have to offer. But so far, at least for these two projects, I'm optimistic about it. Blair Witch, we'll see.
Time will tell, sir.
Oh yeah. All righty, sir. You want to wrap us up with one last story there? Your pick. I'm fine with anything.
All righty. Well, let's take a look here. All right, I know which one I want to do. Well, what happens when Martin Scorsese and Steven Spielberg team up for a psychological horror series? The answer might be Cape Fear, a new take on the classic story that's stacking one of the most insane casts in recent memory, with Amy Adams, Javier Bardem, and Patrick Wilson leading the charge. The show is leaning hard into character-driven terror, inspired by The Executioners and its iconic film adaptations. This version promises a modern, serialized descent into obsession and revenge. The premise: a convicted killer is released and sets his sights on the family that put him behind bars. So, with that level of talent involved, is Cape Fear shaping up to be prestige horror at its peak, or is this hype getting ahead of itself?
I adore the 1990s adaptation of Cape Fear, and I think that Javier Bardem is one of the most intriguing actors out there. And when you talk about him playing Max Cady or a version of a Max Cady, I mean, my ticket is sold just off that sentence alone. I don't need a trailer. I am so excited to check this out. I hope it can live up to just even a little bit of what that that first adaptation or that first remake could do. But I mean, I'm willing to take the plunge. I think the material is strong enough, and I think the cast they've assembled here is really strong. And again, I think just if you're going to cast and make a character of Max Cady, if I'm thinking of like modern actors, Javier Bardem is definitely on my short list, and I think just him being this, it excites me. I think it's good casting.
I'm really excited about this one in particular because it's going to be a TV series. And, I've read the book and it varies different from the 1990s remake there in terms of what it does offer. And De Niro brings a interesting dynamic to the Max Cady character that we don't get in the book. The character from the book's very different. And this is kind of like when we talked about, David Fincher in tackling properties where it's like, I don't know how that would work out, but it's David Fincher. So you got to kind of let him cook. And I think that's going to be the same thing here with Javier Bardem, where I would say, if this was announced with no one attached, I'd say you can't redo the Max Cady character. What De Niro did with that character and brought that personality and just how off-putting he was in his delivery, you can't recreate that. But Javier Bardem, I really feel like can bring some intrigue and his own flavor to this character that we see can be a variation from its source material. And that's what is the most intriguing part here, as to what kind of dynamics can Bardem bring to the Max Cady character. I think that's going to be the big question, but I'm very pleased with that casting. Like I mentioned in that little intro there, where this is prestige casting. This is something where it already has a level of importance to it by just the casting before we ever see the story. And I'm excited to see how all the players that are in place are going to play together, because they don't disappoint. And I think what is this, 10 episodes?
Yep.
Being able to tell that long format and where we can go with the story, build the tension that the 1990s version has. I'm very excited to see where this is going to go.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily watch a lot of Apple shows, but I can say from the ones I have watched and the couple movies I have there, they do have a pretty quality track record. I mean, I was very cautiously optimistic about, obviously, Godzilla King of Monsters, or no, Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, and that like blew past every expectation I could have had for it. Season 2 was also very strong. I mean, right now, like Apple putting this out is a really good sign for me. I think they're willing to take some risks on some good writing and some strong things. So I hope this works. I mean, the only thing for me is I just got to find out who's like directing this. Who we got in the director's seat here for this. It looks like, I know it's probably a few people. Let's see. It's Amanda Marsalis. Oh, she did Ozark and Westworld. Oh, The Pit. Yeah, we're good. All right, we're solid. So we'll be fine. No, I mean, it's no big names, but they are certainly veteran TV people who've got names across a ton of great shows. So yeah, I think this will be fine. And sometimes those are some of the best adaptations, when it's the people who, just because they don't have the big flashy credits on their name, they could just be really big fans of the material, and they could really love it and want to bring a new kind of hopefully very sinister voice to it. So yeah, I'm excited. I do kind of hope they change the story up. I think they have to if they're going to go a little bit more towards the book. But hey, whatever they bring to this, I just hope it lives up, or at least is as equally as entertaining. So even if it can't beat it.
Yeah, and hey, I've mentioned Zach Krager, Resident Evil, every story, so why not make it this one as well, where it's like, hey, you look at the Executioners, has some similarities to Cape Fear from 1991, but is also a bit of its own tale, and I think, laying the foundation from the book, from the original film to the remake, you all have different things to offer. So why not use that as your solid foundation, kind of capture that spirit and then bring it into 2026 with a modern audience over a 10 episode story arc. I think you can easily do that. You can kind of bring the sinister vibe that the 1991 version has. And Javier Bardem is more than capable of bringing that. I mean, No Country for Old Men proves that, but even to see him even a little more vibrant than he is in that, with his line delivery and, actually having some more dialogue, he's going to easily be able to deliver that. So I think, this one could really be a knockout of the park, maybe even a sleeper hit for some people, because we are so far removed from 1991's Cape Fear that could be a blind spot on a lot of people's filmography with zero expectation going into this, and they might just turn this one on and not really know what the story is or where they're going to go. Because, the interesting part here is that the motive behind it, where it's like, Max Cady feels that he was wronged, by the legal system and his lawyer. So bringing that over, that could be a very compelling story to tell. Do we start where the 1991 version started, where it's like Max Cady getting out of jail? Is he in jail at the very beginning before he even gets out? And then we kind of start a few episodes in. They have the, they have the luxury of being able to tell the story over time. This isn't an hour and a half to 2 hours of film. This is like, if this is going to be an hour long, man, that's 10 hours to tell the story, where you could really go into some really interesting territory that maybe didn't exist in the films and didn't exist in the book.
Yeah, imagine if they went like 3 episodes in and then like we get a flashback to the actual trial for an episode of like them, Patrick Wilson's character, I assume, and him working together, and where Patrick Wilson decided to, misplace or not come forward with some evidence. It's like that would be interesting to see. I would be very curious to see that. I have to agree, Gracie, it does feel a little empty and a little weird without Erica in here, but we understand she's got her own life. She's got her own things going on. We do appreciate all her support when we can get it, just as we do for everybody here. I'm excited for this month's movies, but I'm also excited for I'm most excited for Obsession and the Backrooms. Yes. Obsession, very good. We just got to see it this week, Luke and I, and our review is up now if you want to check it out. But the Backrooms, very excited for it. Can't wait. Hopefully we can get some news about maybe a possible screening or something in our area. That's another one I really want to explore and see what they do with liminal space, especially after Exit 8 came out and was so awesome. I'm very into that space right now. I want to see what we can get with it.
Yeah, extremely interested in the Backrooms. Something that me and my brothers are very interested in. There's just something uncanny about the repetition there. And it's A24, man. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, having Kane Pixels literally be the director and stuff is just great. So it's like the person who came up with it did all the stuff just on their computer and everything. Like it's good stuff. Like I know liminal space horror and everything is not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but it is what it is. I think that for the people it does hit with, it's going to hit big. So.
And that's been primarily a big blind spot for me. I know I did a little bit of a dive into the lore of Backrooms, but I don't know too much about it. So it's like, I'm excited to really explore that space. It seems very interesting. From the trailer, it already had me sold, and then just kind of diving into Kane Pixel's page in understanding what the Backrooms is. I still have a lot to learn, but I like where they're going with it. It opens up so many questions. It's a film. I don't know what the experience is going to be. The trailer is really intriguing, but I don't know what story they're going to tell or where they're going to take it. But I am 100% on board with it. Like Obsession already delivered, Hokum delivered. I'm ready for Backrooms to deliver.
Yeah, I mean, as we get further away from Hokum, I just love that movie. The more it sits with me, it's just like I think back to all the creepy elements. But yeah, like Obsession, I'm just really excited for people to get to experience it. I think there's a couple of moments in there that are just, they will be talked about. That's all I will say. There's a handful of scenes that are wow, that's crazy. But they earned it. It's exciting. This month, speaking of Gracie here mentioning that she's not the biggest Backrooms fan, but always wants to support internet horror on the big screen. This whole month feels like a big win for internet horror, because I mean, like, yes, Damian McCarthy is an established filmmaker, but I mean, since we've been doing Iron Lung this year, yeah. But since we've been doing this channel, like, he only had one movie out at the time. So we were here to cover Oddity and Caveat when they were still very small. So seeing him here, he almost feels a little internet-y, but there's no argument that, obviously the Backrooms and Obsession being out in the same month, both YouTube filmmakers.
But then, I mean, even looking at when you kind of look at Adrian mentioned Iron Lung, Markiplier, but also like Exit 8 being a independent video game that a lot of streamers picked up. Same thing with, we weren't big fans of it. Mortuary's Assistant being made into a film. It's like never would I have guessed years ago that small independent video games would have picked up enough traction from YouTubers that stream them, to actually get films made. But that's where we're at here in 2026.
I would say, and Luke, for Mr. Boone's statement question here, I think that he might like this a little bit more than Caveat. I think that this is a bit more, without spoiling anything, it's got a bit more of a wrap up with a little bit to chew on. It's not as, I guess you'd say, kind of just like trying to leave you there with unanswered questions. They kind of do tie things up nicely. And I think that it also just has a lot more heart than like what Caveat does, because Caveat's very much a nail-biting, horrific experience from front to back, which I love. But I think that this movie goes in a lot deeper places than I think anybody was expecting.
I think so as well. And I don't know. I think when I had first watched this, I thought maybe it was a little more like Oddity, just because of the story that we're telling.
I agree.
In terms of the mystery and stuff like that. So, and Oddity really worked for me. I know some people aren't really big fans of that film, but I think
like
implementing that kind of mystery side to everything while we're dealing with some supernatural elements, I think it really worked. And I think, this one does offer a lot in its storytelling. Like, in our review, I mentioned, we don't get scared easy just because we watch so much of the stuff. And we kind of understand, you're supposed to feel uneasy at certain points. And you look at it from, not that we're like big tough guys or anything, but you kind of look at it from more film appreciation in being able to craft a scene, and that's really where I come from. But I think there were a few things in Holcomb that I was like, I wasn't prepared for that. They really do hit you in terms of what story they're telling and trying to craft some scare. So I think this one's worth it. I think it's worth the time. I had a lot of fun with it. I'm honestly itching to go see this one again. I want to own this one so I can turn it on at my leisure. I mentioned in the review that it's like, it really does feel like a great October watch. And I think it's like I'm
late September, early October watch.
As soon as it starts getting chilly out, and I know we've had some chilly mornings here in Ohio, and it's like, I've mentioned to Zoe a few times where it's like, it feels like Halloween time right now in the evenings where it's chilly. So it's like, I'm really itching to see this one again.
Yeah, I think it's worth it, Mr. Boone. I say give it a shot. I think if you liked Oddity, but you weren't a fan of Caveat, you might like this one. It might fall in the middle for you. I also think that this one is a bit more of it's got a bit more of a mystery to chew on than it does with like Oddity, and the way it unfolds a little bit more like I don't want to say like an Agatha Christie story, but it's definitely like a Stephen King kind of, mystery in a sense of trying to figure things out. There's like kind of the way that he layers on elements in this movie is very intriguing, and I liked it a lot. It was a way to guide the story very nicely. It never feels like it's dragging or anything, which I think is a huge compliment.
Yeah, I think it's a great balancing act. And, I would say it's pretty akin to the way Oddity unfolds in terms of the mystery element, as well as also offering some supernatural aspects to it, where it's like, you're chewing on one aspect of the film and then something else gets presented. So it's like, I did feel like this one was a pretty nice parallel to something like Oddity with its beats.
I agree. I think it definitely, like, it feels like it could be in the same universe as like Caveat, but they feel way more at home together with Oddity in this. But hey, I think it's a great flick. I think there's a lot of good movies on the horizon here, a lot of good stuff out right now. So one of the things, though, we got to talk about real quick is we have to talk to Adrian here about something rather serious. So you guys got to, witness this. I'm sorry. Adrian, have you ever seen the movie Deep Blue Sea?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, it's from director Rennie Harlan, who just did Deep Water, which we are having a review drop tomorrow for. And we thought it's been a little while since we've done a kind of a review episode revisit kind of thing on here, like we do to Scream. So I was thinking, and Luke was thinking for next week, if we could have all of us sit down, and anybody who wants to participate, we're going to watch Deep Blue Sea and break it out as a discussion here, because to be fair, we were kind of working over Deep Water, and it's not the most amazing movie in the world. You'll see our full review tomorrow. But it was one of those things where I feel like Luke and I kind of had the same realization that it might be time for him to give Deep Blue Sea the old reappraisal. It's been a few years, so I think maybe let's see how he feels about it now.
Yeah, because I haven't seen that one probably since 2016, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe unfairly, I was trying to equate it to a shark film in terms of the conversation of something like Jaws, and it never hit, in any realm of that conversation. So maybe I looked at it unfairly, maybe especially now when I talk about kind of just accepting films the way that they are, and seeing something like Malignant and being like, but man, this is just a thrill ride of horror and it owns what it is. And I definitely want to go back to Deep Blue Sea and be like, is this a film that just owns what it is? Is it just a good time? Because I went in with a completely different lens, and I think going in now in more modern times after so many films that I've seen, that I might be a little nicer on this one.
I'd be very curious to see what you think about it again, because it's one of those where it's like, I think it does really own what it is on its sleeve. I mean, the concept in and of itself is it's a laboratory where they are breeding genetically mutated sharks so they could cure Alzheimer's. Like, it's like, so they're making their brains bigger. Like, it's such a goofy ass concept, but like it is one that I grew up with. I love it. And like we were talking about earlier today, I think the practical effects for the sharks, just when they're there, like the CGI is dog shit, but when the practical effects are there, they are some of the best shark practical effects we have. To be honest, if I could go back to 2016 and like re-prep you for anything, I think maybe I had rose-colored glasses for that movie a lot more when I prepped you, because it was such a classic to me growing up. But as an adult, I can admit it is goofy as shit. It is definitely not a Jaws caliber film. The movie I would have said is closer to that, though, and I would have put up there that you did watch, is Rogue. I would say Rogue is a very close second, in my opinion, to more of a Jaws caliber movie, because I think they actually have a really good story there with some great characters. It's never going to reach Jaws' heights, but that would have been the more appropriate one, I would have thought.
Yeah, I have to rewatch Rogue. I remember that one. I went into that one with zero expectation. I was like, meh, we'll see what this one is, and being so surprised at how well done that film is.
It's a very good movie. It's Greg McLean. He did Wolf Creek 2. He's just a beast. I love him. Australian horror. Absolutely great stuff.
Doesn't miss.
Rarely misses. What'd you think of Sinners? Love Sinners. My favorite movie of last year.
Yeah, I love Sinners as well. It wasn't my favorite horror film of last year. I think it's one of the best films of last year. I just think it was a little light on the horror story of it. When we get into it, I love it, but it was just like the story is so well told. And we mentioned it in the review that it's like, you forget it's a vampire flick until it becomes a vampire flick. So it's like performances, direction, the personality to it is fantastic. It was just, for me, a little light on the horror story, but it was still in my top 10 of the year.
It's like,
I'm with you there.
One of the movies I quote probably most of last year, just like, what you guys, twins? No, we cousins. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. It's like, it's just so well written. I think like Smoke and Stack are just two characters that I just, every time I put this movie, it's kind of like the Goodfellas effect for me, where it's like my dad kind of put that on to me, where it's like every time Goodfellas is on TV, I put it on and I watch it, or if it's like just flipping it around, or if it's on something, I'm going to watch it. This is the same thing with Sinners. There are some times where I just don't know what I want to watch, but I'm trying to like get something done, or I just need some background noise or something that's going to soothe me or just keep me kind of cool. It's like, I've seen this movie like 6 times since it's been released. I don't need to be watching it, but just hearing it in the background and just like knowing, it's like, it just helps my little ADHD brain just like get focused. So love the movie. It's definitely, I don't care what the haters say. It's one of my favorites of last year, and certainly in many years. I like that one a lot.
Same.
Absolutely. Well, I hate to be this guy, but I can also see it on my co-host's face. Sizz and voices. We're very sleepy. I'm very sleepy. And I think with all that, we can wrap this show up, fellas. What do you think?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to be back. I'm glad we get the trio back together. Adrian, are you willing to take on the challenge of Deep Blue Sea this upcoming week?
I can do it.
Hell yeah. It's a fun flick. I think it's on my Vudu. If not, I'll find a spot for you or get you a copy. So yeah, I mean, this is definitely a busy week, lots of big news, but we'll have Deep Blue Sea rewatch review kind of chat next week, and then I think we'll be probably hoping for some big stuff, because I think, what do we have? It's nothing big comes out this week, but as we get closer to Obsession coming out, we might have some big trailers dropping as we get out of the A24 camp. So normally they like to attach some of their bigger stuff to these releases, and with like Obsession at the end of the month, and then I know Obsession, or no, not Obsession, sorry, Backrooms at the end of the month being A24, and then you know, we have Passenger, and then we have Obsession. Those are three giant, potentially big horror films this month, and I think that means we're going to get a lot of fucking trailers. So cross our fingers, next week will be just as bountiful, but I'm going to remain optimistic. Alrighty, but that's going to wrap us up, guys. Thank you so much. We appreciate you as always for another great episode, another great show. We'll be back here next week, and until next time, I'm Dylan Newell.
I'm Luke Janesco.
I'm Adrian Jones. Mars Jones. Hey-yo.
And remember, stay scared.
Do the hard shit, gonna do it live. Cause Splattercast kick it every day they live. Splattercast, gonna smash your ass. 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 Splattercast, gonna smash your ass.